You're watching KWWL. We've got you covered. This is the news at noon.
Good afternoon on this Monday afternoon. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm Allie Crutcher. Well, let's go straight to Storm Track 7 meteorologist. We are certainly tracking severe weather this afternoon.
Right now we don't have any warnings or watches in the area, but there are still some storms in the area, including this line just south of Waterloo moving into northern Benton, southern Buchanan County. There'll be strong storms, but right now the line continues to track to the east at about 40 miles per hour, 35 to 40 miles per hour. It'll be in Urbana just about now. Rogers, Central City, Ryan, Prairieburg, and Cass are all in the line of the northern part of this storm. And we'll continue to see more storms tracking in. Now, right now, no damage reports, but that was from these are all from earlier today, including around the Independence area, where we have a report of 80 miles per hour. This is some of the damage that was sent in to us from Travis McBride. He said most of the damage seemed to be on the northwest side of town. That seemed to be the strongest winds. His weather station reported 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, and we're continuing to see that potential continue this afternoon with the next round. But this morning, even an 80 mile an hour gust reported around the Dubuque area. And even on our Storm Track 7 live weather network, you can actually see that storm as it tracked into the region. Continued to cause some problems as those winds came up. The rain just started to fall, got very dark. You can see that, and then you can't see much of anything as that rain really started to blow sideways into the camera and produce quite a bit of rain in a very short period of time. Now, right now, we're continuing to see that line of storms moving through the Vinton area, but rainfall amounts in the dark red are in 3+ inches of rain. Have several reports of 2 inches or more. Decorah area reporting maybe 2 to 4 inches. Some areas reporting over 5 inches. And most of us are going to be seeing some strong storms redeveloping later on this afternoon as a cold front tracks through. Right now, Mark and I are trying to figure out timing, but it does look like it'll be after 3 o'clock, but still have some storms tracking through right now. We'll keep you updated throughout the day and tell you more about that coming up.
All right, thank you, Eileen. We begin with Team 7 coverage. Crews are cleaning up after a roof blows off of a school here in eastern Iowa. Take a look at this picture sent to us. Now, this happened at LaSalle Catholic School in Holy Cross. Storm Track 7's Brad Hansen is live in Holy Cross for us. Brad, what can you tell us?
Yeah, those crews have been on the scene here basically since that roof blew off around 9 o'clock this morning. Now, luckily, no one was inside and no injuries have been reported. In fact, I just spoke with the school principal who says they saw the storm reports this morning and decided to stay home today. Now, the fire chief told us that the roof took out a power line, basically cutting off power to most of the town here. Alliant is on the scene here. They're working to fix that. They have to get the power fixed before they can start to clear that roof away. Now, luckily, underneath that roof was an old rubber roof, so there was no gaping hole in the roof, but there was some leaking, so crews have been on top putting down tarps and sandbags this morning. Now, we do have reports of trees down just like most of eastern Iowa here in Holy Cross. Luckily, only minor structural damage has been reported. We've got you covered live here in Holy Cross. I'm Brad Hansen, KWWL News.
All right, thank you, Brad. Well, traffic was slowed down after a tree was blown onto Highway 20. This happened in Dubuque County. No word yet on any injuries or accident because of this. And take a look at this. Here's just some of the storm damage reported this morning out of Buchanan County. The emergency management coordinator actually sent us this photo a couple of hours ago. Now, he says this was a machine shed, as you can see, just wiped out from the winds and rain we saw earlier. We also found out at Independence High School, winds clocked in at about 93 miles per hour this morning. Well, continuing Storm Track 7 coverage in Fayette County, a home is heavily damaged after this morning's storms. Storm Track 7's Lauren Moss is live with us on the phone this afternoon. Lauren, what can you tell us?
That's right, Ellie. Now, I do want to mention the wind is picking back up again here at Maynard. It is very strong. Our van is actually shaking a bit right now. Now, this home is destroyed. It was torn apart by the wind. You can see that no part of the structure is stable, and parts of the home are now debris scattered on the ground. Firefighters got the call this morning that the home was destroyed and 2 people were trapped inside, a husband and a wife. They were able to rescue the 2 through an opening in the damage. The husband was able to walk out, while firefighters had to carry the wife out.
I'm not a weather expert, but it looked more like a small tornado that got it versus straight line winds.
Now, the chief there was just trying to describe how strong the wind was this morning. And we do know the wife was taken by ambulance to the Oline Hospital with what the chief is calling non-life-threatening injuries at this time. But the chief did tell me that he expects the wife to be transported to another hospital, that her injuries were bad, but again, not life-threatening. There's a lot of damage in this area besides this home. I'm talking about trees split in half and actually torn from the ground. I plan on staying in this area throughout the day, and I'll bring you the latest tonight at 5 and 6. For now, we've got you covered. Lauren Moss, KWWL News.
All right, thank you, Lauren. And also in Cedar Falls, these are photos you're seeing now out of this area. People are seeing damage there as well. Reports of downed trees, power lines. A viewer sent these pictures in to us, a sight a lot of us are seeing and dealing with this afternoon. And at one point this morning, according to Mid-American Energy, Blackhawk County had more than 1,100 customers without power. Now, video you're seeing here out of Waterloo, strong storms ripped through just a couple of hours ago, as we just saw dark clouds, whipping winds, and a soaking rain. Now, this happened as a lot of us were heading into work. KWWL Storm Track 7's Jerry Gallagher has been talking to a number of counties today, really working the phones to figure out what they're seeing. Joining us live now, and many of them are reporting the same thing.
Yeah, that's right, Allie. Trees down, power lines down. Power is a big concern right now. You just talked about that. Alliant Energy says in Dubuque, Clayton, and Buchanan counties, more than 3,000 people are without power right now. We've been hearing reports all morning long about some small towns in Clayton County that were hit pretty hard. The Iowa State Patrol says Millville was hammered by the storm, and this shows you the sheer force of the winds. A semi tipped over on Highway 52 south of Guttenberg in Millville. Now, the driver was injured. He was taken to the hospital with minor injuries, we've been told. 52 is shut down right now south of Guttenberg, but should reopen in the next 30 minutes or so if you are headed in that direction. The State Patrol says many trees are down in the Millville area. Some homes were damaged, and other outbuildings were blown over. Many of you have been sending us your pictures and your video this morning from all over eastern Iowa, and here's a look at some of that. You know, trees are down. We've been talking about the power lines have been damaged. Buildings are damaged as well. You heard that report of a 93-mile-an-hour wind gust in Independence earlier. Strong storms also produced a 95-mile-an-hour wind gust in another part of the state this morning. That was in Sheldon, causing some damage there. And what you're seeing right here, it's just a fraction of the pictures and video that we have. Check out our Facebook page to see even more. Now, we did roll on our Waterloo Skycam this morning to give you a sense of what it looked like as this storm moved through eastern Iowa today. And you can see it right here, the camera shaking along with the stoplights right there as that rain comes down very hard and very fast as people were heading to work this morning. One more note about storm damage. We just got off the phone with KCTN. That is a radio station in Clayton County. And they told us there was a lot of damage to another small town in that county, and that's Garber. An Amish store was destroyed, and a number of other buildings like barns have also been damaged. But so far, other than the semi-driver that I just talked about, no other injuries to report in that county, which is a very good news, Allie. And as one state trooper told us this morning, a lot of chainsaws will be put to work later today. We've got you covered. I'm Jerry Gallagher, KWWL News.
All right, thank you, Jerry. And if you were in town this weekend, of course, the area has been suffering from severe weather, really starting Saturday and a little bit into Sunday. Well, a lightning strike during Saturday's storms killed an eastern Iowa woman. The Iowa Department of Natural Resources tell us 42-year-old Rebecca McCarty was camping at the Pleasant Creek State Recreation Area near Palo Saturday night when she was struck by lightning and killed. Witnesses tell us she was carrying an umbrella as she was walking between campsites.
Heard the sizzle and the boom, and we glanced over here, and that's when the lightning strike hit the lady right here. And she went down immediately and didn't move. And so, yeah, she was carrying that umbrella over there, and I think it probably hit the umbrella.
Paramedics drove the woman to an area hospital where she died. Now, the witness we just heard from says other campers tried to perform CPR before responders got there, but unfortunately they soon realized it was too late. Well, switching gears now with some new video. Today, one person is in the hospital after a stabbing in Coralville. This happened at a home on Boston Way in Coralville early this morning. Police haven't said much about this situation. We do know one person was taken to the hospital. However, their name and condition not yet released. Also, no word on a suspect yet, but we are told the stabbing is still being investigated. A man stabbed to death after a fight breaks out at a party in Des Moines. Police say officers responded to a 911 call early this morning and found a 27-year-old man along with a 23-year-old, both with stab wounds. The 27-year-old later died from his injuries. A third person, identified as a man, showed up at a separate hospital with injuries. An Iowa woman survives a 40-foot fall from a cliff at a state park in the central part of our state. 19-year-old Shannon Novak fell yesterday afternoon from a cliff along the Lost Lake Trail at Legis State Park in Madrid. The Iowa DNR says Novak was with two friends when she lost her footing. She was taken to the hospital with back and ankle injuries. Well, still to come this afternoon, the search for a former employee of the White House comes to a tragic end. We'll give you those details coming up. Plus, a rescue from flooding ends with a woman behind bars. Find out why the victim is now in trouble with the law.
And we still have showers and thunderstorms tracking through the area. Right now, no warnings, but we could see some rather active weather later on this afternoon, possibly as early as 3 o'clock. Most likely later with some more damaging wind potential, maybe some large hail. I'll have more details on all of that coming up in just a little bit.
You're watching KWWL. We've got you covered with Ali Quatcher and meteorologist Eileen Lund. This is the KWWL News at Noon.
Well, it's already been an active day, and we are still under the threat for severe weather for later this afternoon and the evening. Still a few storms going through right now. We're watching very carefully as well, but we're under an enhanced risk for severe weather over portions of the area, but should calm down by tomorrow. But until then, still seeing some showers and some thunderstorms tracking through. This is the backside of a what may end up being called a derecho, which is generally a large area of damaging winds that last for 250 miles or more, which this does seem to have that criteria. It's definitely an MCS, which is a mesoscale convective system, which is essentially a gang of thunderstorms that track through and cause a lot of havoc, which this has definitely done. We're seeing more storms tracking into the area, moving through northern parts of the Benton and Lynn County, as it tracks through Vinton, producing some heavy rains. Also some gusty winds, putting a track of 35 miles per hour. Expected to be near Castle Grove, Cass, Monticello, Spring Hole, already moving through the Center Point area. Have had some areas of lots of thunderstorm wind gusts. This is in Blackhawk County and Cedar Falls of a 58-mile-per-hour wind gust. Farther north in Cresco, had hail being reported. This is just outside of the Cresco area. Hail obviously larger than a quarter. This was from this morning at about 7:30 is when I got the email from him. And we're continuing to see strong storms across the area, even into Dubuque area, winds gusting up to 80 miles per hour. So very strong winds continue to be a concern. Maybe some gusty winds out of this system, but we're also going to see the potential for some heavy rainfall around the area. All of these red areas have more than 3 inches of rain being reported or estimated from the rainfall on the radar. Ground reports have at least 3 inches in many of these areas. Currently no flash flood warnings, although that may change again with more thunderstorms expected to develop. Under this enhanced risk from Dubuque, Cedar Rapids to Tama southward, does not technically include Waterloo and Decorah. They're under a slight risk, but everybody has a potential for more severe weather this afternoon. Mainly hail at the onset as a cold front tracks in, lifts this nice warm air mass that's going to have a few hours to recharge, and then very humid air could lead to some heavy rains as well. It will eventually turn back into a wind event and maybe see an isolated tornado, but generally going to be hail first, then some wind later on. Storms will continue to be strong, possibly severe later on this afternoon into the evening hours. Temperatures going to range anywhere from the 70s, where the rain kept it cooler this morning, to the 80s, upper 80s possible. Fog by tomorrow morning because of all the moisture and the calm conditions, lighter winds by morning, and temperatures dropping toward the dew points. Now tomorrow's actually looking pretty nice. Does not look too bad across the area. Highs in the upper 70s, low 80s with lower dew points, but we're going to see more showers and thunderstorms tracking into the area for tomorrow night into Wednesday. Some of those could be strong to severe with more damaging winds, possibly some more heavy rains as well. Now, that line of storms in northern Benton and Lynn counties, winds in excess of 30 miles per hour and half-inch hail are possible with those storms. For right now, could see stronger storms later on this afternoon. Mark's already here. We're going to be watching it very carefully this afternoon.
Absolutely. And Eileen, you did just mention this, but just so folks can hear it again, as we get ready for this second round of storms this afternoon, what are the biggest threats that we can expect?
At the very onset, large hail is the greatest threat with damaging winds, and then it becomes, it'll eventually transfer to a damaging wind event, although there could also be isolated tornadoes that spin up here and there.
Okay, sure. Well, you guys are very busy in the Weather Center. Yes. Thank you so much, and we're certainly staying on top of it for you. Thank you so much. Well, coming up, out of floodwaters and in jail, why one woman is rescued and now is in trouble with police. And it looks like a scene from Jaws, a wild animal encounter up close and personal. And here's a look at some photos we've gotten from viewers this morning. As we just heard from Jerry, Brad, and Lauren, we're certainly very busy covering all of this for you. We have reports of downed trees, downed power lines, unfortunately some homes seeing damage. And again, we're certainly staying on top of this afternoon, and we have more right after this. Welcome back to the news at noon. The body of a former White House chef has been found near a hiking trail. The chef served under Presidents Bill Clinton and George W. Bush. His body was found early this morning. He's been missing for about a week after going hiking alone in New Mexico. Police say his cell phone signal was tracked to a mountain. Well, most people prefer to keep a nice, safe distance from sharks, but not this scuba diver. Take a look at this up-close and personal view of a shark. The curious shark tried to take a bite out of an underwater camera there off Florida's Atlantic coast. The divers were swimming in federal waters off the coast of Jupiter, interacting with and even petting tiger sharks. Great video there. Well, rescued in a flood and now arrested. That's what happened to a woman who ignored a roadblock. Now, the woman drove past barricades that had been on the road for 2 days in Texas. Her car then got stuck, and she ended up sitting on top of the car, waiting for rescue crews to come and save her. Well, they did. She wasn't hurt, but she was arrested. In Texas, it is a misdemeanor to ignore those barricades. Still to come, summer travel tips. We're focusing on what you pack, but we're not talking about your clothes. Instead, your cash and how to protect it. That's right after the break. Stay with us. And here's a live look at some footage we got earlier out of Waterloo. Jerry actually talked about this in his live report just moments ago. You can see rain coming down. This actually affected a lot of folks' drive into work. Here in a moment, you might see that camera shake. We saw whipping wind and rain. And again, we'll have live reports coming up here in about 10 minutes, so stay with us. A safety concern for vacation travel this summer, one that can hurt your wallet. Chris Clackham explains for us.
Last month's roundup in Paris of a small gang of pickpockets who were breaking in 20 grand a week, preying on foreign tourists at the Eiffel Tower should be a lesson for us all.
Oftentimes tourists are targets because we carry a lot of cash. Nobody wants to be stuck abroad with no cash and no credit cards.
That's why safe summer travel tips always include safely securing your money in all forms, but especially when it comes to carrying cash.
The recommendation there is to really only carry the amount of cash that you feel like you're going to need on, that particular day's excursion. Leave the rest in your hotel safe and, or somewhere hidden in your hotel room.
CNBC's Kelly Grant reports a PayPal survey found many tourists making the wise choice of hiding valuables.
Get a money belt that fits on the inside of your waistline, or go with a neck wallet that hangs around your neck and can be fit under your shirt.
Or better yet, stick with a credit card.
At least you can very easily report that stolen. You're not responsible for any fraudulent purchases made, and in a lot of cases they'll be able to deliver you a replacement card right to your hotel room if need be.
Other tips: carry backpacks in front in crowds and wallets in front pockets. Chris Clackham, NBC News.
Well, still to come on KWWL, the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We've got a recipe that takes an ordinary vegetable and turns it into something pretty extraordinary. We'll be right back.
Every year right about now, we get all sorts of requests from many of you who are looking for ways to use zucchini. And from what I can tell from your emails, you either grow zucchini in your garden and you have an endless supply, or you buy tons of it at the market since it's so darn cheap. Either way, I have a recipe that can turn that bounty into a change of pace bake that goes together like this. All we do after grating a few zucchini is add some beaten eggs, Parmesan cheese, some chopped onion, a good amount of flour, biscuit baking mix, a bit of vegetable oil, and a slew of spices, and give it a good mix. Then we pour it into an 8-inch square baking dish. While that bakes, we can throw some chicken in a grill pan or on the grill, and dinner is done in just minutes. When you cut this into squares, it won't be long before everyone is devouring your new creation. And once they do, you can bet they'll love it. I do hope you'll go online and get the recipe for zucchini squares, so you'll be armed with a recipe that is not only budget-friendly this time of year, but one that's truly amazing. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a summary way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.